It is set to undergo a significant transformation, and I believe this will have a significant impact on DLT and blockchain technology. And when I say no, I'm not referring to a price. I'm simply stating that this will alleviate many of the issues associated with adoption. This is where I believe we should begin. When we discuss trade finance, I believe this is the time at which things will begin to fall into place. I also believe that this will be a watershed point for the entire field, particularly in terms of utility, and trade finance is where it all begins. I started it back in May, and it couldn't be more accurate now than it was then, so I'm going to play this brief film Marina posted right now. Chris Southworth from the International Criminal Court, ICC, in the United Kingdom. We're genuinely talking about things here. This, like trade papers, is critical. Pay special attention to the information. Tend to overestimate the importance of trade paper. However, there is another aspect of this regulation that will make the financial market more open to innovative ideas. Matches the use of, for instance, electronic promissory notes or other new financial tools that are cheaper, faster, and easier to use, but also the entire system for financing trade, since we know the market for ANA will be large. The entire AC paperwork is causing banks a lot of problems, and we know that trade credit may be cheaper and quicker to obtain, but the compliance thresholds are high, which is a major issue. So now is an excellent moment to examine the entire financial picture and make improvements. This is something we've all wished for a long time, and I believe that everybody who works in finance or trade finance is familiar with it. We've arrived, and I believe the time has come to begin making this happen. So it's not just about trading, which is an important point. There are many ways that these new financial instruments can be used, and they will aid in a variety of different sectors. For example, they can be used to pay local governments and assist local businesses in growing and developing. So you know there is a revolution that goes beyond just trade finance. But in trade finance, we can do things so much better than how you're doing it right now. And that has nothing to do with banks or finance companies. It's that we're working with quite old governing systems that don't take into account the fact that we're working in a new, mostly digital world. So we have a great opportunity to be better about how we do it and make a lot more opportunities. And most importantly, the goal is to get more money back into the market, especially for small businesses. So yes, this is a big step forward of the whole space, and I'm kind of realizing that I've talked about, because it will drastically alter finance and trade finance. We significantly accelerated the digitalization, tokenization, and acceptance of this technology. Now the United Kingdom, a member of the ICC, has informed us that the Electronic Trade Documents Act has received royal assent, which indicates that it will be ready to go digital 1 week before the start date, and we can see that all of the major players are behind this. It's so enormous that practically every big-name group in this industry is behind it. Let's go back in time, even if we only go over a few reasons why this is such an exciting 2016, putting Swift trade finance on the computer. It's been 7 years since then, which is how slowly things move. Trade finance will finally begin to be done online in a few days. It is so large as a result of this. We've been expecting this from you to happen for so long, and don't forget Swift plays a significant role in all of this. And we already know that Phoenix Trade has been working with Swift for a long time. Its primary purpose is to become the network of networks that enable trade finance, which we will discuss shortly, but only a few months ago, in August of 2021. We also witnessed digital trade. The time has now passed from Swift, where we saw a little more of how this works. And when you consider how crucial trade is to economic growth and how critical it is for the global economy to heal as we emerge from the pandemic, you can understand how vital trade is. The study leverages Swift strategy data and community feedback to advance the discourse regarding trade digitization. Trade digitalization has the potential to provide significant economic growth by lowering costs and risks. All of this revolves heavily around the DLT. When we think of the future DLT, that is what we picture it being called. Blockchain, and don't forget, the current largest disparity is approximately $5 trillion. We've arrived at DLT. Digitizing LCS will make it easier for buyers and sellers to trade by speeding up trade, lowering costs, and reducing the hazards of paper and friction. And this is where DLT and blockchain may help. This is an excellent opportunity, and once again, we are grateful. Finally, it's only a few days away from happening. It's been so long. Coming, and we can see how the virus is even hurting trade. It was the item that enabled scanning, and now we're just getting started on all of this. Begins with trade finance, which, as I previously stated, will evolve into a much larger snowball effect that will not end at trade finance, but will begin with trade banking. Everything will begin to be completed. You have to give credit to XinFin for being a huge leader in digitizing trade finance, and you truly have to give up something for trade. Finance will be the first large industry to utilize this technology, and the first to be entirely transformed by it. Even the BIS has been interested in this for a long time. In 2021, uses for DLT might include trade finance security. What's next for central bank settlement and digital currencies? They were also the largest in trade finance, an area where DLT has a lot of potential. And today, as of September 11, we understand that openness is the best approach to proceed. Remember what I mentioned about digital trading? About the network of networks up until now. While this is about less division is what we need, which means we need to be able to connect to networks of networks here. We need everyone to work together, and the most important parts of this are interoperability and the business plan itself. So when we think about it, this isn't just about technology, it's also about how we use technology. How do we ensure that standards and the technological stack we use are in sync with each other? So everything needs to be able to communicate with everything else. And how do we make them work? Solve together, and how are we going to solve that? It's not difficult if you have a network, but just two initiatives are very crucial on August 16 this year. So, how much do you know now? Things are becoming more consistent, but one individual in particular is required as part of the work. The worldwide community establishes standards. The Chamber of Commerce is now working on a digital trade standards program to develop cross-industry digital trade standards. These standards will expand on the work done in the industry by the Universal Trade Network and other initiatives and organizations. Again, the idea is to make it easier for blockchain systems to share information so that cross may occur. We want this to be the layer that connects the networks so we can eliminate all of the fragmentation. What exactly is a network of networks? Phoenix, which is a network of networks, does not only consider competition in terms of how likely it is to occur. Otto, who is also a co-founder of XinFin and trades Phoenix since it employs the XTC system, stated this himself. Also, you presumably heard something about Swift Mint, 798 in that Swift paper. That's because Phoenix wishes to trade. To be a network of networks by connecting trade finance initiatives that use DLT, such as Voltron and SwiftMint, 798, and projects that do not use DLT, but already have a link to Swift because of Swift. This is where I spend most of my time. Phoenix, because they all enjoy trading. This is very crucial. This is crucial, and don't forget about them. The ICC is the primary organization aiming to bring trade finance into the digital age, and we even read a remark stating that by 2030 and beyond. Interoperability will most likely lead to greater acceptance, which will increase the percentage of digital flows for more people to use its applications, will need to be easier to use and cost little or nothing to use the basic functions, and the deals will also need to be supported by new liquidity providers, all of which will increase the percentage of digital flows. This is closely related to XinFin. XinFin has been doing an excellent job, as seen by the ICC's release of a new standard model on September 8th. Working with the Swift community to provide an API for guarantees and standby lines of credit now that the model API is available on the Swift standard platform. It can be used by more individuals, and as I previously stated, it is all about API. We can see from September 13 that this is true for plug and play, which is quite essential, especially for why we utilize it. Again, they are providing a link to the ICC DSI on LinkedIn, highlighting the hard work of our ICC DSI team over the years. The last few months have paid off, as G20 trade ministers agreed on 10 pioneering principles to accelerate the use of digital trade processes. Emily, we are now living in the internet age. Trade, I believe, XTC is important. I'm excited for this to go live and be appreciated by everyone at it will begin in the United Kingdom, but with Emily TR, it will swiftly expand. This is because we already know that the ICC has a large number of players and authority attached to it. All of this is done with the assistance of others.